Hello,
Okay.
everybody, and welcome. What? I told you I was going live.
What?
Hello, everybody, and
What's
welcome to
wrong?
Honey Badger
What did I
Radio.
do?
No, you were talking over me as I was doing the greeting. You don't
No,
remember
no.
just
I,
now
I
doing
was I
that?
was saying nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
well,
No,
well,
I didn't say anything.
all right, all right.
Okay.
Replay it, and you'll see.
All right. I said something.
But
I said it in my mind.
yes,
I projected it with my thoughts. Okay.
yeah. All
Keep
right.
going.
So, hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is the latest Maintaining Frame, which is number 141. Do girls need to learn not everything is for them? Where we're going to be talking about this semi-viral Reddit post that started a conversation that probably
Mm-hmm.
didn't even need to happen.
No.
But because of the world we now live in and the way that we think of, the relationship between men and women, husbands and wives, fathers and daughters, this has become a conversation, and I think it's a good opportunity to talk about something that is relevant. I noticed it was doing the rounds, and everybody's got a take, but I don't think that it's going to be the take that we're going to have. So, at least not yeah, I think we're going to have a unique perspective on it. So,
Yeah.
but before we get into it, maybe you should do the things.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, let's do a little bit of technical stuff. Is my camera just really crapping out or something?
It doesn't look bad on the stream. I
Mm-hmm.
think that in Video Ninja, they're usually like my preview is usually at a lower quality, but when I look
Mm.
at the stream, it doesn't look bad. Here, I'll just double check it just to make sure.
Okay. Okay. All right. I mean, because we're just dealing with like a bunch of weather related stuff.
Yeah, I
It
noticed
gets
that
really cold, then it gets really hot, and
your connection is a little spotty. Like I'm
yeah, it
showing
is.
red bars, so we'll see if
Yeah.
that has an effect. But
Yeah. So guys,
what?
just be prepared. I might drop, or other things might happen.
Yeah.
Or the cat might nibble the cords and we'll be flying backwards. But anyway, so if you would like to support the show, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/support. And if you'd like to send a message to us throughout just or even after the show, if you find something particularly edifying, then you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip.
Why did you
And
zoom
my
in a
cat
whole lot
is screwing
suddenly?
with my
Yeah, like you suddenly got all like Wayne's
I
World extreme close up for us for a second there. So,
I don't know.
oh, and
Let
also
me
we got
just see what's
JoJo.
going on
Speaking of
here.
animals, um,
Uh okay, let me come
it,
on. What are you
there you go,
doing?
there you
Okay,
go, there
there
you
we
go.
go.
All right,
That was I don't know. The
that
cat
was
just
a that
walked
was a
past
bit
my
that was a bit
camera and
too
then
too intimate for this program.
yeah. Giving people ideas. No. The cat just walked across the camera and then zoom. I don't know what she did. I have no idea what she did, but she did something. Okay, so anyway, feedthebadger.com/justthetip if you want to send us a tip and a message with that tip, and feedthebadger.com/support if you want to support the show. Okay, let's get into it. Let's have this
All right.
discussion.
All right, so let's take a look at the article. Well, this is not an article. It's an X post, but it's actually screenshots from a "Am I the Asshole" Reddit post. So, and "Am I the Asshole" I don't know a lot about it because I'm not on Reddit because I value my mental health. It is a place where people will share an anecdote and their reaction to some experience, and they're sort of conflicted on whether or not it was a good or bad thing that they did. So they ask Reddit, of all places, "Am I the asshole?" And I guess some there are winners and there are losers. But okay,
There,
so we got yeah.
Reddit is sort
Go
of
ahead.
like asking a Ouija board,
Yeah,
honestly. You
yeah, I
just
bet.
you might end up calling the souls of the damned into your life. All right, let's
All
do
right.
this.
So this one is shared by a woman on Reddit, and this is a woman that's made the post that's being shared by someone named Ask Aubrey. I don't know who that is. I might look into that while we're talking. And so she says, "Am I the asshole for insisting my daughter should be allowed to go on the guys only family trip? I have 2 kids, John, who is 13, and Kelsey, who is 11. My daughter, Kelsey, has always been a tomboy and prefers hanging out with her older brother and my husband. She goes fishing and watches/plays sports with them. Meanwhile, I enjoy gardening and baking." Wow, that you sound like a handmaiden of the patriarchy, by the way. Those are very woman-coded things. You're not supposed to like those things.
Just to get in here for a second, Egregious
Yeah.
Charles says our Twitch stream is fucked. So-
Let me see if what the restream says. So the restream
Lord.
is showing that it's fine, so it might be an issue with Twitch. I don't know.
Okay, maybe Twitch is
Yeah.
down. Sorry, guys, can't do anything about it.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know what, like, I'm looking at our restream and it's showing that it's going. So maybe Twitch got to us. I don't know. So all right. Anyway.
No, it wasn't Simon because Simon is a ginger cat and ginger cats are agents of chaos. It wasn't Simon that did it. It was Mia. It was the Void Cat, who are also agents of chaos. Actually, all cats are agents of chaos, really.
Yes, they are.
It's just that gingers tend to be more gingery about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So this is this is a post that spawned 1,000 feminist responses.
Mm-hmm.
Because how dare, right?
Yeah.
Some of the comments are just they're sort of depressing, shall we say?
Yeah. Well, of course,
okay.
of course.
But
did you read these? I'm not done yet. I'm still reading this first page. We could we'll do it a page at a time, and then throw a couple little comments in, and then okay. So I enjoy gardening and baking. No biggie to me. Okay. I enjoy gardening and baking. No biggie to me. I love their bond and am happy she's close with her brother and dad. My husband's only sister is a single mom who has recently moved to our state with her son, Michael, who is 12. My husband has been talking about planning a guy's trip this summer with him. So this is recent. So the summer is still months in the future. They haven't done this yet. Okay. With him, John, and Michael. While my husband was discussing with John, I could see Kelsey looking visibly sad because she wasn't included. All right. Next page. Later, I told my husband that Kelsey should go too, and that there's no reason to exclude her. He said he just wants some guy time with his son and nephew, and that men need to have their time away from women, which she's putting in quotes. Their time away from women. I took offense to that comment, which led to an argument between us. I told him that Kelsey needs to go. Otherwise, I won't approve of money being taken out of our family vacation budget to exclude some of our family. My sister-in-law texted me saying I'm being controlling and ruining a good experience for the boys by being petty. I told her I'm not being petty. I just want my kid. I don't want my kid feeling left out. Am I the asshole?
Yes. 100%. And I think that she's if this is true, because the thing is that, guys, this is a Reddit. This could just be sheer rage bait. But if this is true, presuming that it's true, and people are responding to it as if it is, I would suspect that she's not okay with the fact that her daughter has a closer relationship with the father. I think that this might
that's
actually
an interesting take.
A darker interpretation. A darker interpretation is that she's actually trying to ruin their relationship, or she's trying to develop a greater sense of closeness by championing her daughter in a situation where, yes, they should be able, he's probably concerned about his nephew not having a male role model more than anything. So he's trying to help his nephew who doesn't have a father. And, so he's trying to create a situation where the nephew can have some intimacy with not intimacy, but like emotional closeness,
some kind of
in the way that men do,
male figure,
relationship,
and maybe develop
and
grow,
not mediated through a woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not mediated through a woman or a girl.
That was the offense right there, where when he said their time away from women. that they needed time away
Yeah.
from women. Yeah.
But the thing is that, well, this is part of the problem, is that there's a lot of people who don't think that this is acceptable, right? But I think what I'm trying to get at is that there's a possibility that the mother isn't okay with her daughter being with her father, having a closer relationship with her father. In fact, I would say the fact that she mentioned it would incline me to that interpretation. And this is a way of sort of souring that relationship while trying to make the girl come closer to her by becoming her champion as a victim, and teaching the daughter to be a victim, essentially, instead of recognizing the worth of men and boys having time together without the oversight of women, where they can talk about things that are, or do things in the way that men and boys do, or talk about things that might be uncomfortable to talk about in front of women and girls. Instead of recognizing that, she is using this as an opportunity to foist herself and forward in her daughter, in the relationship with the daughter. So it could be a situation where she is actually jealous of the father, and this is a means by which she's sort of souring that relationship and attempting to create a stronger relationship with her daughter. In which case, there's probably no way that you could argue to her that this is a bad thing to do, because she probably knows on some level it's a bad thing to do, and she's going to be using you condemning her to defend herself to herself, in a sense. It's like when you argue with someone who has a diametrically opposed philosophy, and often they'll use evidence you bring up and arguments you bring up to actually strengthen their belief in what they believe in. Sort of the same dynamic here. So it's like, but it all hinges on one thing: is it legitimate for men to have space away from women?
Yeah.
Yes. And the fact that this woman is being called out by another woman would even give more I don't say that it's like that's like saying absolutely it's because another woman is calling her out, but I would honestly say that because the mother of the nephew is also calling this woman out, it even lends even more credence to the idea that this is she's picking up on something with her sister-in-law. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because she's not actually going in line with the sisterhood. But then again, she may also really want her son to have something like this, which means that she understands that it's necessary in her son's life to have relationships with men that aren't mediated by women, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the final conclusion is, yes, she's the asshole. It sounds like, yeah, sure, her daughter's sad. Okay. But sadness is a part of life. You see what I'm saying? It's like you go and you explain it to your daughter,
You don't always get what you want.
You don't always get what you want. And sometimes you have to step aside so somebody else can get what they need, and maybe need more than you do. Like the nephew doesn't have any man in his life, right? So presumably. So instead of actually teaching her daughter that lesson, the mother goes on a crusade. And what the lesson that she's teaching her daughter is to be a victim, to demand access to men's spaces at all times. And if you don't get it, then they are oppressing you or they are somehow harming you, rather than just recognizing that sometimes people need to develop relationships that don't involve you. And it doesn't mean they care about you less. It's just sometimes people need space, And instead of learning that, she's learning to play the victim in order to get what she wants. If she even wanted it. I mean, she could have just felt sad, but been like, yeah, okay, I understand. You know what I mean? The daughter could have there really isn't a lot of information, or it continues. Are we in the middle of it, or is there more? Or is that it?
Well, first of all, let me just say a couple things regarding space. One, your camera's super zoomed in, so there again, so I don't know how that happened. The other thing is that I'm noticing that there's a bit of a gap in time from when I talk and when you hear it. So I'm gonna try and like take that into account, that you're lagging a bit behind what I say. So that's why we're talking over each other a little. So we're gonna try and, like, when you're done, we'll create a pause, and then I can say something. But with regards
Is
to
this
this,
better for lag?
yeah, I mean, I don't know, I can't tell. It just seems like when I'm done talking, there's a bit of a pause before you respond. And when I, like, start talking, I think that's why you were talking over me, because you didn't know you were talking over me, because there was a gap. There was a little bit of a gap.
Let me
So
see. I
can
think
you?
that this. I think this might reduce the lag. I don't know. Does it?
I can't tell. I'm saying that it's when you're hearing what I say. So
Okay.
maybe it's fixed now. I don't know. So let me just take a look and see at the connection. Yeah. Anyway, so that, all that aside, this is the end of the post. I did get a super chat I wanted to read really quick, and I thought maybe you should do the things regarding super chats and whatnot after. So let me read that now. Xeranx gives us $5 and says, post the Nora Vincent ABC interview in the thread, case closed. And that wouldn't be a bad idea to share. And okay, so now go ahead and do the things, and then I will give my take on this. So
Okay, so you mean do the call outs
like
again?
well, did you do the things already with
Yes,
the
I
super
did. I did
chows?
already.
Oh, I seem to have, okay, I
We
spaced out on
both were
that.
like hugely distracted
Okay,
today.
no, I'm
not
just
sure
like
what's going
looking
on.
at other things, and I'm trying to make sure that the stream doesn't collapse on itself.
Yeah,
So
for whatever reason, the stream is just really crazy
it's the
today. We're
weather.
like babying along.
I think it's the weather. So okay, so here's what I was thinking about, and it's really funny looking at these replies in the chat here. So first of all, I think it's really funny that the reasonable one is the single mom in this scenario. That's like, maybe it's good that my son and my nephew is spending time with my brother-in-law or whatever, or my brother. I don't know. I guess it's brother, and they're like doing guy stuff together over there. And maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't be like infringing on that. And that's kind of interesting, because that seems a little bit. You would think that the mother, who's married and has a kid that has two parents and is, you would think that she would be sympathetic to that. But maybe it is the fact that it's her sister-in-law. I don't know. There might be something there as well. But what I'll say about the guy strip thing is it's 100% true that men need their own spaces, and all the time men's spaces are disappearing more and more and more. And one of the first places that it does is in absent fathers, which are not absent fathers, but fathers that are forced out or pushed out or excluded or isolated from their children. So that's the first space that a young man learns about. That's for men, is his relationship to his dad, and then his brothers, if he has any. And then from there's like communities, friend groups, etc. It doesn't mean girls can't be in the friend group, but if boys almost are completely unable to do it, like there's all of these external forces, usually like women and feminists and shit like that they interfere with men spending time together. I mean, the boys look the Boy Scouts are gone. Like, they changed the name. Now it's like the Scouts. They basically gender neutral, made it gender neutral, and essentially it's not for boys anymore. There used to be something called the Boys Club in like cities. It was kind of a public thing. It's gone. There is no boys club. Then it was like the Boys and Girls Club. I think now it either doesn't exist at all, or it's completely like like ungendered, like completely like made neutral. And then there was like the but there is still a Girl Scouts, right? And so the girls, they can go to the Scouts or they can go to the Girl Scouts. Boys can only go to the Scouts, so they have to share space. At all of these places where there was like male mentorship and male camaraderie and like fellowship, they've all been disintegrated. Even online, everything gets invaded. So when a man says, I think it probably is a good idea for me and my nephew and my son to do something together, I mean, like, there is absolute precedent for that. The other thing too that I think is why she's the asshole is that a wife, she should stand with her husband, but she is choosing not to. Like, what is that? Like, if she said, I want to take my daughter on a girls' night, whatever, or a girls' trip, and we're going to do something, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Do you think her husband would be like opposed to that? Or do you
No.
think he would say, go have fun? Right?
Yes, he'd say, go have fun.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't
Even
be
if the
opposed to
son
that.
wanted to go for whatever reason, he would say, no, son, let them have that. Right? Like
Yeah.
this is girl stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, and I actually got into it with a commentator later on. I don't know if you want to look at that.
Was it in here? Was it reply?
Yeah,
To
it
the
was
thread?
actually
Or reply to the repost.
actually I think we should probably just read a little bit more before we get into that.
I read the whole thing.
No, but there's additional because she adds more.
Really? Where?
Yep, keep going. Just
Oh,
hit the
this
button.
one?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, this one. Okay,
It's
yeah.
Twitter.
There is
Yeah.
more. I'm sorry, it's Twitter. All right, so you can read some of the details if you go through my post history. Essentially, my husband has decided he wants to have a guys only trip this summer with my son, 13 male, and my nephew, 12 male. My daughter, 11 female, is a tomboy who is into sports and fishing and extremely close with her brother and dad, and the three of them often spend a lot of time together. My husband and I discussed this, and I insisted my daughter be included, but he mentioned that he really wants this time with his son and nephew without any women present. I eventually gave in on the boys only trip, but warned him that our daughter would be hurt, and it was up to him entirely to fix it. He promised me that he would. Ever since my husband told her she couldn't go, my daughter's behavior has changed. She no longer hangs out with her brother playing video games, and she has been extremely distant with my husband. Just this past week during the Super Bowl, while my son and husband were watching the game, my daughter was tucked away in her room. Watching the Super Bowl together has always been a tradition for the three of them to do together. I'm not into sports ball. But this year, my daughter didn't join them. I asked her if she was okay, and she gave me a yeah and continued reading a book.
She's going through puberty, lady. Like, seriously, this is when girls' behavior changes. Believe me, honestly, if she's that close with her father, I would imagine that his explanation was sufficient. If not, I mean, then she's in a snit and she just needs to get over it.
Or the wife, the mom needs to co-sign on what the dad says.
Yes.
Because I think that the mom's not supporting the father's decision. She begrudgingly went along with it and everything. So like if she's united, like if they're a team and she says, look, this is important for these reasons, whatever. If you need to rationalize it or explain it to her that way. But we are a family and we should be like, stick it together, or I'll do something with you or whatever, or he'll do something with you separately. But the daughter is acting like a brat because she wants to be included, like insists on it. And any exclusion is apparently like harming her, her self-esteem, her pride, whatever. I just think that she's just not getting her way. And her mother's resilience to actually like co-sign and stand with it. Yeah. Stand by her is actually encouraging her to continue to be bratty because she thinks she can get her mother to essentially like apply pressure to the dad to change his mind. I mean, but yeah, she could also be because like, when you're 11, I think most girls are still like tomboys to some degree, so that she could also there could also be
there's like a lot of things happening, and I agree that it's quite possible that the mother is increasing the animosity here, or she's turning this into a crusade. So instead of making this a teachable moment for her daughter, your father still loves you, but he has something else he needs to do for your nephew, to help him out in his life and what he's doing. And he doesn't love you any less. It's just sometimes men and boys need to have their own time, and explain all of that. She's turning it into a crusade because she's personally offended by the idea, probably because it's politically unpleasant to her or offensive. And then the daughter's picking up on it. It could be that the daughter is picking up on her mother's animosity, doesn't even really care that much, understood it. She could have been sad. Like, the thing is that, occasionally for myself, I use myself as an example, solipsism, I know, but you know, you just feel something, right? Something bums you out. Like you wanted to go on the fishing trip, but you weren't able to, you know why, but you're just bummed out, but you'll get over it, right? You know what I mean? Or somebody's annoying the crap out of you and you're just like, okay, I need a month break from you. And you take the month break, you get it out of your system, and then it's fine. You know, emotions are transient. And maybe the daughter was just like, yeah, this sucks. I'm gonna go be upset a bit and then get over it. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can feel a negative emotion without turning it into a crusade. You just
Yeah.
feel it, get over it, move on. And she could have been in that process. I mean, her being sad is not the end of the freaking world. And this is the thing. It's like this whole mentality that the mother's bringing is this idea that a woman's emotions should define the universe. And a woman's emotions shouldn't even define her universe. Just let her get over it. If she's a real tomboy, she'll at some point just bounce back. But it sounds like the mother made it a huge issue, and it may be a situation where the girl thinks she needs to take sides now. So if she doesn't pursue this crusade, this mother's crusade, and she actually just is like, you know what, I'm done with this. I was sad. I'm fine now. I want to hang out, and that's good. And she thinks that maybe she's gonna piss off her mother. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like her mother has constructed this balkanization in her own family.
Yeah.
Instead of just making this a teachable moment for her daughter. Emotions are emotions. The world doesn't have to stop for your sadness because you're a woman or a girl.
Yep.
And sometimes you just
what
have
is she
to
gonna
live
learn?
with things that you don't.
Yeah, what is she gonna learn?
Yeah, what's she
her
gonna learn
dad
from
like
this?
caves and basically says, "Okay, you're included now."
So it could be a situation. Yeah, it could be a situation where the daughter feels like she has to take sides now. And if she actually does pursue, it just lets her relationship with her father resume as if nothing happened. Then her mother's going to be pissed off at her because she's no longer evidence of her father's offensive, toxic masculinity, male privilege crap, right? So she feels like, well, I better stay out of the situation. You know, the father maybe just, if the daughter's in a snit over this, either because she wasn't in a snit initially or because the mother has compelled her to be in a snit, the father may be like, well, okay, this is what she wants. She wants her time and space. Maybe she's in response to her realizing her father wants space for the boys. She's realizing she wants space for herself, which is fine, right? She might not be in a snit. She might just want her own space because she's 11 and she's about to go through puberty. And like 11 is when you start to have what they call like this pre-puberty state where your brain starts to change and you start to have a different focus. So she might be going through that, and maybe she wants private time to herself, you know, and maybe something like that, you know. But all of this is not made better by somebody with a microscope analyzing every single action in order to turn it into a knife to stab her husband with. Like, you know, and this is possibly the most disruptive and antagonistic thing the mother could do. And she's like not making it any better. And I know what she's doing. She's turning this into a political talking point.
Yep.
She's making this into a feminist statement.
Well, if she's on Reddit asking, she's like already like, you know, cooked. If she's on Reddit, she's playing with Ouija boards, it's over.
And the other thing is, like, if she's worried that her daughter's depressed, why doesn't she talk to her? Like, why is it all on the father?
Yeah.
Like, there's another alternative interpretation. This woman doesn't really want to be a parent. Like, she just wants...
because that she goes on to say that she thinks this whole thing is his fault and that she's not going to do anything to fix it. I think is the rest of this right here. So I could read it. I got a super chow, by the way.
Ooh, cool.
From Winter. Yeah, we did. Winter gave us $20 and says, "Honey for the Badgers." Thank you, Winter. Really appreciate it.
It was those extreme zoom ups at the Wayne World
Yeah,
zoom up.
you're still a little zoomed up. I don't know if you can see that.
I had to change my camera because I think the
Oh,
Osmo was causing a delay. I have
I
absolutely,
see.
sorry guys, I don't know where the zoom ups coming from. That's completely new.
No worries.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. All right. So the rest of her post, I'll read the next bit of this. My husband noticed this behavior and tried to cheer her up by telling her he would plan something really cool, just the two of them, but our daughter told him she didn't want to do anything. A couple days later, my daughter needed to be picked up early from school for a dentist appointment. My husband said he would pick her up, but she texted me asking, "Please, mom, can you pick me up and bring me?" My daughter also has been getting the school bus in the morning instead of catching a
Yeah, this
ride
is
with my
nothing.
husband and son, which she typically does. Now, my husband has been complaining to me about our daughter, saying he's done everything to make it up to her and that I need to step in. I told him she would be hurt by him excluding her from the trip, and it's entirely his fault. She's icing him out.
Oh
He says we
God.
should be a team and try to fix this together, but he's the one who caused this hurt, so it shouldn't be on me to fix it. It's starting to affect our relationship now, too. Am I the asshole? 100%.
Yes, you are absolutely 100% the asshole. And the only thing that is actually heartening about this entire situation is that there is the tweet in which I think some guy was calling this woman out is actually got more upvotes than all of the
You're talking about
feminist
vocal
wittering.
distance? The vocal distance
Yeah,
repost of this?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty substantial attention. So it's like at least there's some sanity here. Yes, you are a nutcase. He went and had a fishing trip with his nephew who doesn't have a man in his life and his son. And he said to his daughter he wants to do this because it's just boys' time. Okay? The fact that you're encouraging, if this is the case, because guess what? Guess what we haven't heard? We haven't heard the daughter's opinion. Like, why in all of this, since she is the issue of contention, how come the mother hasn't actually talked to her to find her opinion? Like she's so okay, let me get okay, so this is all basically observation. If she had actually stopped, if the mother had stopped and taken her daughter aside and said, "Hey, what's going on with you?" Don't you think she would have reported that? But there's no indication of that has actually happened. So all these observations, she's observing her daughter from afar, but apparently hasn't taken it upon herself to actually ask what's going on. Is it because of the trip? Or is it because, you're feeling different? Is it because you want to be closer to your mom because you're going through new things, you're discovering boys or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's entirely possible it's that, but it's also entirely possible the daughter's being a brat and she should be told that you don't always get what you want. So it could be both of those things. And the mother should be on a united front with her husband. She is the one making the relationship strained. Her husband is trying his best to work with the daughter. He's like, "Look, I'll do this for you, whatever." I don't think he should. I think he would suck it up, buttercup. You don't always get what you want. I'm doing this because men need to spend time with men sometimes, and women need to spend time with women sometimes.
Yeah,
that's it.
My point is this, and this is a really significant point.
Yeah.
The mother says she's championing her daughter, but nowhere in this do I hear a reflection of what the daughter is thinking. The only thing at the beginning was she seemed sad, and now the mother is observing these behaviors, but at no point apparently did she think to actually talk to her daughter. And if she had, I assume part of the conversation, part of what she would have written in Reddit would be, "And my daughter told me this." You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the daughter, what's interesting to me is the daughter is this complete blank slate. Like, is anybody talking to her, asking her what the problem is? If there is a problem? Like, it seems like more like she feels like she's a game piece in this game, this battle that this wife is having against her husband.
Yeah.
Because and if the wife was so concerned about her daughter, why hasn't she talked to her? And if she did talk to her, why wasn't that part of what she talked about here? I mean, it's either she didn't talk to her, in which case, why haven't you talked to her if you care this much? And you did talk to her, why didn't you report on her feelings if you care so much? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like she's taken on this crusade on behalf of someone she doesn't even seem to care about enough to talk to.
Yeah.
Or to consider the validity of their emotions. The only reason, if she talked to her daughter and her daughter expressed something to her, the only reason to omit it would be as if her daughter said, yeah, I'm just not feeling it right now. I want time to myself. I want more time with you. I'm not upset. I just feel like doing, it made me realize that I also want my own time, right? I want a little bit of my own space or something like that. If that's what the daughter said, that doesn't support the mother's crusade, so she would admit it. So she either hasn't talked to her daughter, or she's talked to her daughter and her daughter hasn't told her what she wants to hear. That supports her crusade. Either case, she ain't getting Mother of the Year. And I'm separating this from her behavior towards her husband. I'm separating this out. Her behavior towards her daughter is bad. Like she's talking for her daughter. She's not talking to her daughter if she has these concerns. If she has talked to her daughter, she's not revealing this to the Reddit audience, probably because it doesn't support her political position. Her need to see this as some kind of vast feminist battlefield, right? Yeah. So I mean, it's like this. Even her behavior to her daughter is shitty. Let's just set aside the behavior towards the father. Like this, she's constructing this problem, and there's no indication she actually even gives a crap about the person she's crusading for, because she isn't talking to them. Or she is talking to them, she's not listening to what they have to say because they don't support her position in all this. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we could talk about her need to support her husband. But what about her need not to go on a crusade for somebody she apparently isn't talking to herself?
Yeah.
And then ultimately, if she doesn't want the daughter to reconcile with the husband, the father, then she's really putting the daughter in a very tricky position. Because if she does get closer to her father, then her mother gets upset. Like this woman sounds like she's has an issue with narcissism. Well, not narcissism, like borderline personality, or dramatic, like that histrionic personality. Like you need to construct these scenarios where you make battlefields where people have to take your side. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
I don't know.
All right, I got a super
I think
chow.
I've lost Brian. Or
No, it's all right.
Well,
I'm multitasking, but I am paying attention to how this is a disservice to the daughter. And I agree with that. Yes, it is. But we won't. I mean, again, we kind of just have to take this original post's word for it. I mean, that's all we can really respond to. But I think, yes, trying to find out what the daughter actually believes. But also, again, like I think there's already, they're creating tension now, and I think that's going to get worse as long as the woman who made the original post in this scenario sees her husband as like an opposing, like army or an opponent on a battlefield, and her daughter is one of the tools to win the battle. It's like you're supposed to be united, But I got a super chow from Albatross. Thank you. He gives us $5. It says, can the moms and daughter do a cool activity revolving around what they like? Nothing wrong with the daughter admiring their male role models, but why does it have to be hang out with the guys or nothing at all? Well, see, in the post, the mother claims that because the daughter is a tomboy who's into fishing and like guy things, and that she is like, into like baking and like girl things, that they couldn't possibly have anything to do together. Although, again, most of the time when girls hit puberty, that whole tomboy thing is a phase that they just get out of, and then they start, becoming more like feminine, unless they were always raised in that. But I assume that if this is true, it probably has to do with the fact that there were more boys in the house than girls, because the son is a little older, he's 13, and the daughter is 11, so she's just sort of taking after her bigger brother.
Mhm.
But what I think that they could do stuff together, but the mom does not want to step in and be a part of the solution. She wants to essentially just complain about
Yeah.
the problem.
Yeah,
So
and so there could be multiple reasons. Maybe the daughter is being a snit, like she's being a brat, and in that case, the mother does need to say you need to get over it, because this is like there's no reason to continue to ruin your relationship because your dad took your nephew and your brother for some boy time, right? There's no reason for that. That's absurd. It's overblown. Okay, life is full of disappointments like that. It could be a situation where the daughter feels like she now has to choose between her mother and her father. And if she chooses her father, her mother will be angry at her, which is entirely on the mother. Right. So, one, the girl is being a brat. The mother has to actually stand up and say, you got to get over it. Okay. Or she's going to continue to encourage her daughter to develop an attitude of victimhood, being a victim of things. Like, I mean, you can say, yeah, it's perfectly fine to feel sad, but sometimes we just need to deal with negative emotions because, there's a greater good at foot here. Your nephew needs a father figure, and your father is stepping up. That's a good thing that he's doing, and you just need to suck it up. Fine. She needs to have that life lesson. The mother is interfering with that because she wants to turn it into a evidence of her own probably political viewpoint, considering she's on Reddit. Two, the daughter feels like she has to choose sides, and because the mother is making her feel like that. And so she's evading being around her father. She feels like she has to now end her relationship with her father because her mother has turned her relationship with her father into a political talking point, into a political crusade, right? And again, I want to point out that the mother has not expressed, it does not apparently actually took her daughter aside and found out her position or her point of view in all of this. So that's the option two. And the third option is that this is unrelated and she's just going through puberty.
Yeah, could be any of those.
All of which require the mother to do something. One, to tell the daughter to knock it off. Don't ruin your relationship with your father and your brother over something that your father needed to do to help a kid who may be in trouble, who needs help. And two, the mother needs to get over herself and stop turning her family into a political battleground. And three, the mother needs to actually talk to her daughter to ascertain if in fact it's because she's upset over the fishing trip, or if something else is happening. Maybe she had a bad thing happen at school that really upset her, right? Maybe she's dealing with something at school. Maybe she's being propositioned by drug dealers. Who knows? Let's get some Nancy Reagan in on this.
I mean, there is like the whole like she's avoiding her father stuff. So, but yeah, go ahead.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that she's avoiding her father as a result of this situation.
Mm-hmm.
It could be she's just thinking maybe she wants her own alone time. She's thought about, boy time, and she feels like there's a bit of a detachment there.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have to emotionally detach from your parents at some point, right? You got to start being a bit more alone, thinking about things through your own ideas. That's not a bad thing. Like, even if he said, I got to have boy time, and she's like, oh, okay, well, so he's sort of, he has to go do something on his own with the boys. Maybe there's something I need to do on my own, even if it's that. Like, and she could just be pursuing that, like just going on her own little walkabout. Right? That's fine. There's no problem there. But how do we know the mother isn't talking to her? And so that would be my interpretations. Those are the three, all of which sort of pinpoint the father being right, that the mother needs to do something. The mother either needs to talk to her daughter. Well, first of all, she does need to talk to her daughter. If her daughter is in fact doing the freeze out game with her father, she needs to explain that it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth ruining your relationship with your father and brother over petty reasons. Or she needs to find out if it's something else, right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's not. The father is right. She's not. She's not doing any of that.
Well, yes, he needs her help. That's the thing too, is that he asked for her help. He was like, you're my partner. We have a problem. I need you to help me fix it. And she's like, no, you caused this problem. You have to fix it yourself. So yeah. All right. Xeranx gives us another super chow. Thank you, Xeranx, and says for $5. Let me just. This is why calls for repeal the 19th exist. This is a mother who has nothing to offer her daughter because they don't share similar interests. She's not inclined to tell her daughter her father will pick her up and do all she's done before. She just allows the degradation of her daughter's welfare. The daughter is likely pulling away because she experienced something she considers major and she's protecting herself. The mother sounds like a surrogate to me. Dad sounds like a guy who misjudges who he's married to. He should take the reins and lead his daughter the way he's supposed to. I hope he does. All right.
Well,
Another thing. Well, go ahead.
Women could do this even when they couldn't vote. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, I think what he's saying is the sentiment. It's not like something that's going to happen. It's like the sentiment is like women are not, taking responsibility. Like they're less
100%.
mature. The idea I think he's saying is that they're less mature today than they were when women did not have the vote. So you're right.
And told everybody women shouldn't get the vote.
Yeah. And we're telling women, yeah, exactly. One other thing I'll say about this related as well is that the guy time thing, and this is what Local Distance said, the fishing was not the point. It was about male bonding. It is so that the obviously so the son and the father can grow closer together in a way that is unique to sons and fathers, and that the nephew would get some of that as well because he doesn't have a father. I don't know that makes that means the nephew is in trouble per se, but if the single mom sister of the husband moved into their town and wants her child to spend time with him, then she recognizes the importance of that, which is probably why she defended the idea that they do that alone. And when those kids are with, the dad, they're probably going to, they're going to fish and all that, but they're probably going to have some, important conversations. They're both 12 and 13. They're getting to the point where they're going to be hitting puberty soon. They're going to be thinking about their future. They may still be too young to really plan it out, but they'll at least start talking about it, and they'll feel like they can open up and be vulnerable to the father. And this reaction by the mom and the daughter shows why that's necessary, because if they said, well, if they couldn't open up around other women, I think that's another thing. And plus another thing, this is literally the opposite of what you just talked about. If the mom made an effort to spend time with her daughter, they could also do the same. The daughter probably does have a lot on her mind that she wants to share, but all of this right now is just avoidance. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, it's giving the daughter the impression that the only reason why her mother's interested in her is as a talking point, which is honestly sort of depressing.
She should be involved. Don't be like, well, I like baking, so I can't relate to my daughter. That's stupid. That's ridiculously stupid.
Teach her to bake.
Yeah, maybe she is
a life
interested.
skill.
Have you tried? She's 11 now. She probably would like to try something new. Richard Beer gives us $5 super chow and says, this mother sounds like she would be in later life while facing death from cancer, would be asking her husband for permission to sleep with a previous lover because the sex was better with the previous lover after decades of being married to the husband. Okay. Thank you for that. I hope it's not true, but who knows? So what do you want to look at something else now, or
no, I mean, we could look at briefly the conversation, one of the conversations that I had.
Oh, were you in here?
Yeah, I was. Do you want me to give you the link to what I said?
Yeah, sure. Let's get it.
It was somewhat amusing.
Yeah, I did see Sydney Watson had some words. She
Oh,
commented in
good
here,
Lord.
I know, and she said, let's see her take. I feel like I'm going mad reading these comments. LMFAO. Let me just share this real quick. Daughter got excluded from activities she really enjoys with the two people she obviously adores, her dad and brother, which of course we have to just take that as given, I guess. Mother points this out to father, says daughter is going to be pissed. Daughter ends up being pissed, and somehow this is the mother's fault. Mother is exclusively interacting with dad, not daughter. Mother could very well have been trying to hype daughter up about a fun mother-daughter bonding experience. We don't know, but you all assume she's somehow at fault, seek an exorcism. But she's sharing her point of view. It's the only point of view we have is the mother's point of view.
Can I point? Yeah, and she doesn't even have the daughter's point of view. Here's the big thing. I mean, Sydney Watson can say what she wants about people calling out the mother. Why don't we know? Why hasn't the mother asked what the daughter's feeling? It's all external observation. So at no point, apparently, did she think to take her aside and say, hey, what's going on? Right? So the mother isn't even showing any consideration to her daughter, who is also a woman. I'm really wondering about this whole sort of odyssey of Sydney Watson here. Like, why did she get involved in men's issues if she can't see the situation from men's point of view?
No, I mean, it's obviously like, why aren't you making the daughter happy? There's no reason for it. Again, it comes back to what is this really about? It's not about a fun time. Okay? It's not. It's about building male relationships with other men that are like responsible and wise and, people that you look up to, i.e., your father or your uncle in this case, if you're the nephew. So it's not about they're not just going out and having fun. There's something else going on there. It's like how men bond. Like, why don't women understand this? I asked that rhetorically. It's a rhetorical question. All right, I'm sorry, Allison. So did you send me the link?
No, I haven't sent you the link. I'm just looking at some of the responses.
Yeah, I know.
It's just it's infuriating.
Well, a lot of these people don't get it. So
no, they don't.
No, some do.
And
Lady,
let me see if I can find.
Yeah, Lady Luark says, so what you're saying is men can't have their own time for male bonding anymore. Why can't they have their own spaces? Women aren't the same as men. Men need their own spaces too. It's not that complicated. Yeah, it's very simple. Thor Odinson says, nope, this is a story of a mom emotionally manipulating her daughter to punish her husband. I guarantee that if the mom hadn't made such a big deal about the whole thing, that the daughter wouldn't have made a big deal about it either. And in all likelihood, she probably wasn't even bothered until the mother decided to make hay about it and declare that her daughter was the victim of the situation.
And again, no indication the mother has taken the daughter aside and actually asked her opinion about all of this or what's actually going on. This is all assumptions, not just on the part of the mother towards the father, but the daughter.
Yeah, even the original poster.
I just can't, how is it that women can't see that?
They have no
all
empathy,
of these upvoted women's
no compassion.
Positions.
They don't give a shit about men.
It's absolutely it's like you are prisoners of your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, actually Aubrey has gotten more upvotes than Vocal Distance. It's unflippin' believable. And then of course Natty has chimed in.
Where at?
They're all defending the mother, even though Vocal Distance. She just says she doesn't know that and she still has critique of the dad. Yeah, but the dad actually said it was about male bonding. Didn't he?
He said, I don't think there's anything to apologize for. He literally said, I'm planning a guy's trip with my son and my nephew. Guy's trip. Okay. And then he said he just wants some guy time with his son and nephew and that men need to have their time away from women. There is nothing wrong with that. But she took offense to the comment, which led to an argument. So she is creating the drama here.
Yes.
He said something very simple that is true. Men need to be able to spend time away from women. They need to. Okay. So, and apparently women can't stand it. Like this has always been the case. Like women cannot stand when men are somewhere without them and they're happy. Like if there's some, it doesn't matter what we're doing. If we're someplace and there's no women around and we're having a good time, they can't stand it because they want to be like, they want to know what's going on. They want to have control over the space.
I just
And
want
this
to
is
point something out. Something really creepy.
It's crazy
Like,
that Natty doesn't see that. Literally Mount Athos exists. Like, do you want
yes,
to like to tell women that they should be allowed to go there? I mean, I know it's
of
an
course she
extreme
does. No
example,
doubt she
but
does. But my point is that, okay, where I got
I mean, you
into
can go
it,
there, just be perfect.
yes, just
Go
be,
ahead.
just be
The
like,
Virgin Mary. Just be
the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
Then you will have earned your way in as a woman. I think that's really the problem, isn't it? Like you have to be held to a very high standard. I'm trying to find it. I'll try to find my
Maybe
comment.
did anybody reply to it or like it? Because you could see it in your notifications on X. So let me see. Any other super chats?
I just like what really baffles me is how these women who got involved in men's issues never started to understand the world from men's perspective.
Yeah.
Like Natty, like Sydney Watson. And what's incredible to me is Sydney came out of nowhere. I'd never heard of her ever.
Mm-hmm.
And she just popped out of nowhere with a giant like march. And then, like 7 years later, she's having the lamest, most feminist takes imaginable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that happen? How does that trajectory happen? How do you get involved in this and not try to understand the men's perspective? Okay, here it is.
All right, send it through. I got another positive comment. This is from Cultural Weather Vane, black woman. And she says, I have an unpopular opinion, lol. Mom shouldn't have pressured him to include their daughter. Like, if he said guys only, leave it at that. Why are you trying to force a girl into a space he wanted with just guys for that one trip? I feel like mom is a bit culpable. She created this issue. Yes. That is true.
All right, I sent it
And
to
it's
you.
not complicated. It's not
No,
complicated.
it's not complicated at all.
All right, so let me share this tab. So Allison posted, if you have a son, make sure you take him with you whenever you want to take your daughter out for girl time.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody named B says, all mothers do that. It's boys the ones who don't want to do girl time. Don't be
Are
dense,
you
please.
flipping killing me? Are you kidding me? No.
Yeah, boys. Yeah, all mothers do that. Look, dude, maybe they shouldn't though. Even if they did, maybe they shouldn't. Like, what is this? You know what it is? I think there is a presupposition that men and women are the same. This is a liberal idea that there's no difference between the sexes and it's all socialized and it's all like, something that we get like instilled in us by the patriarchy, the system. And that means that you can just put a woman in a man's space and she'll be just fine, and vice versa. But it's usually putting women in men's spaces because let's be real,
yeah,
women want their own spaces.
I was about to say, like it.
Yeah, women want their own spaces for sure. But I'm just saying, like, there is the idea that they're the same. Therefore, there is no difference. Therefore, excluding a girl from a fishing trip for boys is wrong because no one should ever be excluded from anything except boys.
Yeah, that's
ever.
the problem with it. Like it.
Well, I know, but even if it was true the other way, and boys said, "Well, I don't really want to do that," they would, because in general, men don't want to be in women's spaces, but women do want to be in men's spaces.
Okay.
So
they use this equality whenever it can benefit women. Period. And as soon as it doesn't, they have a whole bunch of shit that they trot out to explain why the double standard and why they get to keep their privilege. So, for example, girls will continue to need to have girl time because of the thrall that men put women in that they need to be able to overcome, right? So I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, it's about this kind of there is no biological difference, but at the same time, as in order to retain the privileges and exemptions that they want girls to retain, they need an additional narrative, which is the narrative that men and boys oppress women. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
that
yeah, for sure.
justifies why women always still need to have their own spaces.
There's
And
definitely
then
two
of course
assumptions,
you
but there's a
have,
hierarchy to the assumptions. So one of them takes
well, I
precedent
mean,
over the
because
other.
the way it works is that you use there's no gender difference to justify women's inclusion in everything and to justify destroying men's spaces, etc. And to say essentially, if there is any differential in how many women are in a space, it's due to oppression. And then you use the oppression narrative to justify why women get their own spaces. So it's like that you have biology, and the denying the biology is only the first part. In order to buttress women's unique right to their own spaces, to having their opinion considered preeminent, you use the patriarchy, the male oppression narrative. And that's why these two are so connected. Like it's like if you recognize biology, you can no longer recognize oppression, and you no longer, well, because it doesn't work, because the differences between men and women become an expression of biology. But if you do that, then you have to give up oppression. So that's why we're here with all of the 72 genders, because we want to frame what happens to women as a result of oppression rather than as an expression of biology.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I mean, that's I guess that's a bit of a digression. I just wanted to point
No,
out that, yeah, sure,
that's the real social
they talk about
construct, by the way. The victim of oppression narrative, I mean.
there being no biological difference, but only when well, there being no biological difference, but men always oppress women, therefore women always need their privileges to oppose it, right?
Mhm.
Which is funny, because if men are if men are able to lead women just with their thoughts, with no physical coercion, just in the dark of a woman's own mind, doesn't that mean that men are basically naturally women's leaders?
Mm.
Like they basically lead them by just existing. But anyway, that's a digression. So we can go through
All right.
what I had to
So,
say, because I think that
yeah.
it's a good point.
Yeah, let's look at some of these things. So you said this person said B. I'm just gonna call him B because I'm not gonna read all that shit. All mothers do that. It's boys, the ones who don't want to do girl time. Don't be dense, please. And then you said, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. And then B says, you're the one doing it. I've never met a boy who wanted to spend a day in a spa, shopping, or going to a salon. LMAO. But anyway, that girl's disappointment is going to be the same either way. The boy going out or not to the spa is not going to change it. And that actually, it's my point, right? So, like, girls, why do girls insist on being in boys' spaces? And why is it boys are not interested in girls' spaces? It's almost like there's some idea that men doing things somewhere is like of greater value than than what women do to women. They're thinking like, why is it you don't want to do the things I want to do? Oh, maybe it's because you think that that stuff is beneath you, but I'm going to do what you like to do because I actually do think that that's better. Because men don't want a spa day or anything like that.
Well,
Um,
fundamentally, it's just a different perspective, but also maybe it's an element that men represent a development to adulthood. So spa days are sort of a regression into infancy where you're getting taken care of, right? And I can see that, like, that girls would be more interested in developing skills if they're developing an adult understanding of themselves. So, but the other thing is that maybe boys do want to have these things. Like, I've heard that men do enjoy getting flowers, etc., but they're happy to just let women have their thing.
yeah.
Like, this is the thing. Like,
Well,
what I've noticed is that men are just sort of okay with women having their thing.
yeah, exactly. They're okay with women just having their thing, and women are not okay with men having their thing. And I don't know, like, if that's biological, evolutionary, or social. but
Okay.
it is a phenomenon that it is observable, and this person B is trying to like make this equivalency, but all it means is they're not interested. But they seem to have an issue with that. Like men have to like girl things, and I'm going to specify what those girl things are, but they don't. They're like generally they don't care. Maybe like if we're looking at it in terms of like building skills versus being sort of pampered, maybe when men want to be pampered but in a different way,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe it's not like getting their nails did, but it's something else like a massage, I don't know. But
Ugh.
even then, like you know would a 12-year-old boy want that?
But the other thing is like, why would it have to be a spa day? Why wouldn't it be in this case, like for
Well,
this
they were
woman,
picking the most feminine thing they could think of, you see,
like
so they are
learning to
creating
bake something
categories.
delicious? I'm sure that boys would
Yeah,
enjoy that. Let's bake some
sure.
cookies together. You know,
Yeah.
let's bake one of your favorite desserts or treats together. I'm sure they would really like that.
Yep.
And developing skills that are considered to be of a more feminine nature. I think even many boys would like that or could. Um, okay, so
Men make the best chefs.
exactly. Okay, so but I used a better example later on. If you scroll down, I don't know
Yeah.
if you
All right. So you
yeah.
say I can. I'll use a better
Yeah.
example then. Bring your daughter to work day. Multiple times I've heard boys upset over being excluded. Time to end that. And that's a lot bigger and more institutional than a father taking his son on a fishing trip so he can talk about personal things.
Yeah,
B says, yeah, go
there's
ahead.
all kinds of things that boys are excluded from. They're excluded from take your daughter to work, which I think they've started to change that because they realized how shitty it was. They're also excluded from domestic violence shelters as soon as they're turned 12. They're excluded from most services when it comes to sexual assault and domestic violence. They're, they're excluded from the only thing that they're not preferentially excluded from is is conscription and selective service. Like there's all kinds of bursaries and also private spaces that women are supposed to have on college campuses, safe spaces where cis het white men are not allowed to go. So there's all kinds of points at which men and boys are excluded from things. And that includes take your daughter to work day. So you can continue. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Boys need to learn this lesson of exclusion. They learn it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe part of the reason, maybe the part as they grow and they learn the lesson of exclusion, maybe no longer wanting to take part in the places where they're excluded from is sort of a way of dealing with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when boys are very young, of course they don't want to be excluded from stuff. They're they don't have the emotional resilience to really understand it. They want to be included. They want to be with their parent everywhere, right? They need to learn that they're not going to be allowed to do that. So they learn that. And in the case of feminine interests, maybe, I mean, and I'm not saying that there isn't also an inherent distaste for some feminine interests. Maybe they're also saying, I'm not interested in it because that is a way that they have learned to, that is an emotional coping mechanism for coping with being excluded, is to say, okay, I don't want it. Right? Maybe that's something that develops. But anyway, let's keep the next one.
All right.
Would,
So then this person B responds, what difference does it make to this girl we're currently talking about? The fuck are you talking about? Is this one of those things where we can't be upset about anything because there's African kids starving? And then you said she's got to learn that she can't always be included. What do you think boys learn when they're excluded from things? Then B responds, she's not included in everything already because that's life. What's heartbreaking to her is her father not wanting her on the fun trip with his own other male relatives. It's easy to understand and it's easy to not be the one wanting to exclude your kids, but to each their own. The father doesn't want to do it. He just thinks that it's necessary that this be a boys only thing.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, they're reading into it. But here's the other thing. You're excluding, you're saying, oh, this girl is not going to recover from being excluded. What about boys being told that they are oppressors or that they're responsible for domestic violence and sexual assault and all the other crap that feminists and women often put on boys? That's basically excluding boys from society right off the bat. I mean, it may not be a physical exclusion, but it's a psychological exclusion. It's saying you are not a worthy member of society. And do we have to consider that? All right, but I know that's a little bit more of a rarefied, difficult point. So let's keep going.
All right. So you said it's not heartbreaking, and if it is, we're destroying boys' hearts all the time. And then B says, if you ever become aware of your mental limitations, you'll be very remorseful and ashamed of your thoughts. That's just an ad hominem. This is assuming you're not directly and playing cruel. So it's cruel now.
Mm-hmm.
Then you said choose one, not heartbreaking, or we're breaking boys' hearts all the time. And of course, that's where the conversation died.
Yeah,
And that was
she has no
yesterday.
response for that.
No.
Because we consider it a matter of course that boys deal with and learn to manage our societies, excluding them from things, all kinds of things. Like I don't even know what could go through a child's mind when he has his genitals cut into, excluding how that must feel like a complete and utter betrayal, right? You're excluding him from just the warmth and comfort of being an infant. Right, we do this all the time with men and boys. We exclude them from things. We exclude them from things not just physically, but psychologically. What right do we have to take a boy who has only ever really had relationships and been taught by women? Maybe if he's lucky, he has a father, but for the most part, his entire life has been defined by women. At some point in his life, we start saying, you don't really belong to society, because you have unearned privilege, that your connection to society is offensive to us because it involves privilege. It involves you being toxic. And you should start taking responsibility for the behavior of criminals, because you are a criminal in a way, because you shared sex with criminals, with the majority of criminals, and all of this other crap, which is psychological exclusion, right? And we do this constantly to men and boys. We're constantly excluding them from consideration. We're excluding their point of view when they have vulnerabilities. We're excluding them from feeling like that they are proper citizens of the societies that they're a part of. We're constantly excluding them. And according to this woman, we are constantly breaking men and boys' hearts. And then you get into all the TikTok crap that women get up to that basically says that men are unlovable. The feminist crap that says that men's participation in society is basically antisocial and criminal. Like all of this, right? And no, we don't have to think about any of it. We don't have to consider any of it. All of this exclusion we do for men and boys. Hell, picking them up out of their lives, making them fight another bunch of young men and boys in another country for our political interests. Is that not excluding them? Like, go.
I think it's the only thing we
Someone else
include them
come
for.
back. Sorry?
Yeah. I think it's the only thing that we include them with exclusively almost.
Yeah, but it's an inclusion to exclusion. Basically,
Yeah.
we're forcing them out into the boundaries of our society to go fight and kill other men and boys so they can earn their way back in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
for sure.
And we don't have to take responsibility for any of this, right? Because we don't have to recognize that men have feelings.
Yep.
Or thoughts, or their own perspective.
Also, it's not serving her daughter either, because she's not going to be able to withstand disappointment or rejection. Like,
Well,
she's
not,
like, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, she's not going to be able to withstand. But sorry, I interrupted you. But this is really, I'm really passionate about this point. Her daughter doesn't exist in any of this. This is what's so aggravating about all the women marching off to war over this tweet. Where is the daughter? This is all based on the mother's assumptions about what the daughter is going through. Right? At no point has the mother actually seemed to step the daughter aside and say, "Hey, what's going on with you? What's going on here?" Right? At no point. So what we're actually seeing is the manufacturing of the daughter only exists when she's a mouthpiece for the mother's political opinions, or a mouthpiece, or a part of the mother's framework that women are victims of men, So she only exists in this circumstance. So this girl only exists as an extension of her mother's politics. And that is, and the women who are defending this woman don't even notice that this woman is forcing her daughter into a particular framework. And she's silencing her. And she's silencing her by omission.
Sure. Yeah. What's going to happen
I'm crusading for this girl. I've never asked her what her opinion is on all of this. Not mentioned the girl's opinion. Yeah, what happens when she grows up? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it's okay. There's a delay, so I have to wait. What happens when she gets her first period? Who is she going to talk to about it? Like that, like the mom should have been working on this relationship well before this happened. So eventually, inevitably, the daughter is going to get to a point where she's going to have questions, and she is only going to feel like she has to talk to her mother about those things, right? Because so that should have, the thing is, I don't see evidence of a groundwork laid out for a healthy relationship between the mother and the daughter, so that she could come to her and they could so this is another issue. The father's working on his end. Is she just hating because he's doing something that she should be doing? I don't know.
Yes. The mother, if there was a freaking relationship between the daughter and the daughter probably would have expressed something, and the mother would have told us what her daughter was expressing. I don't see why any woman, any mother who has a close relationship with her daughter would think her daughter's opinion about what's going on is not essential information. Although I don't know why the hell she'd throw it in the public in the first place, but regardless. But here, this mother is forcing a particular role on her daughter, a victim. She's turning her daughter into someone who does not manage her emotions and instead uses them to manipulate other people. Or the daughter may be just walking away from all of this. She's trying to force her daughter into that role, right? I don't know what the daughter's doing because we have no idea. So we see a woman who is inflicting foot binding on her daughter. That's what this is, ladies. That's what this is. She's foot binding her daughter. She's not giving her the proper emotional resilience to overcome these things. And these are the foundations to being able to walk and run in society, to be able to develop skills, to be innovative, to be able to manage yourself and become a whole person. Instead, she's using her daughter as a mouthpiece in a war, a political war, or a political idea that she believes gives her resources, either emotional, attention, or physical. So we are watching this mother force her daughter to conform to her own idea about how she gets things in the greater world. If that makes sense. And in the process, she's destroying parts of her daughter's ability to manage the world around her and to overcome problems. You see, it's basically what you're saying, Brian. I'm just adding that this is something that the mother is forcing on. If it was a physical thing, we could see it more clearly. But she's forcing a psychological foot binding on her daughter. You will see yourself in terms of your victimhood. You will be a prisoner of your emotions. You will use your emotions to manipulate others to do stuff for you. You will learn these behaviors so that you can take your place in the sisterhood, in the wall of chattering skulls.
All right. So I got another super chow, and I think we should wrap it up because I gotta go to an appointment. So Great Indoors gives us $10. Thank you, Great Indoors, and says the extent to which the daughter is viewed as entitled to this one trip she's missing out on is the extent to which the nephew is entitled to this sole trip out of several hypothetical trips he will never experience otherwise. It's amazing how this mother does not consider the nephew's well-being at all. Well, it is a nephew-in-law, and that was one of the things I was thinking about. Like, what is the relationship between this guy's wife and his sister? The husband's wife and sister, right? Because it's a sister-in-law. So I don't know. I just put it out there. I don't know because we all we have is the mother's perspective. It's the only thing we have. So Thank you for the super chow.
And the funny thing is, I get a lot of shit for being a misogynist, but what I despise is the process that women go through, where they take a girl with potential and they cut off her body and turn her into a chattering skull for the wall of the sisterhood's chattering skull wall.
Well, that's an image. Allison, did you mute?
Well, I want people to understand how vile this is.
Yeah.
Like, this is vile. And I know that the father, this is not fair to the father, but this is a destruction of the daughter. She's a kid, and her mother is destroying her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just astounded at all the women marching to the defense of the mother here.
Yeah.
Take your place in the chattering skull wall, dearie. You don't need those hands and legs. All you need is a mouth and a skull. Okay. All right.
All right.
If I keep talking about it, it's going to infuriate me even more. Because I can say one thing about, like I've always said that me and my mom, we had a rough relationship because she wasn't a nurturing person. I'll put it that way. But one thing she never did was that.
Yeah.
She would have never done that to me. She would never have encouraged me to indulge my emotional bullshit and try to use it to manipulate others. So I give her that. I mean, I could give her a lot. Like I said with Natty, the more that I have listened to and heard what women have to say, the more I appreciate my mother. It's very strange. Because she may have been something of a drill sergeant, but at least she didn't turn me into that. Okay.
Right.
All right. So with those final words, I shouldn't have used the word final. Sorry, guys. I will do the things and we will move on to the next.
Next what?
I hope that visual really impacts people.
Yeah.
Like just cutting women's heads off and shoving them into the chattering skull wall of the sisterhood. All right. So anyway, if you would like to tell me how much you enjoyed that visual, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. You can send us a tip and a comment and whatever you want to say. If even after the show is over, we receive it. It goes into our patron Discord. People can boggle at it. And we will read it at the next available opportunity. I do want to point out that try to get your super chows in early because there is a bit of a delay sometimes because all of the macros moving in the background or macroing. But anyway, so feedthebadger.com/justthetip to send us a tip and a message. Feedthebadger.com/support to support the show and our very increasingly I'm thinking is very unique message. And believe me, guys, I'm never going to do a Sydney Watson on you. I think if I did, my mom would bitch slap me from the grave.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, there you go. Feedthebadger.com/support to help us out. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Send a tip and a message. Okay, so back to you, Brian.
All right. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And you'll find a link to the original thread in the description of this video. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame. And we'll talk to you guys in the next video.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.